The Indian Constitution, it's not just some dry old rule book. It's more like an arsenal, a set of tools. And today, we're talking about five of the most powerful ones it gives to every single one of us. Seriously, think of these as your constitutional superpowers.
So, let me ask you a question. What actually happens when your fundamental rights are violated? I mean, we talk a lot about having these rights, but what good are they if you can't do anything when someone steps over the line? What happens when the government, or maybe even another person, just ignores them? And this is a big deal. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar himself said this about Article 32, which is what gives us these powers. He called it the very soul of the Constitution and very heart of it. That's huge, because think about it. A right without a way to fix it when it's broken? That's just a suggestion, right? This article is what makes our rights real. All right, so let's get right into it. What are these remedies? Well, they're basically the citizen's ultimate shield. This is what the Constitution hands you to protect yourself from any misuse of power.
So, what exactly is a writ? Super simple. It's a command, a formal written order that comes directly from the Supreme Court or High Court. And its job is incredibly powerful to enforce your fundamental rights, period. It's how you make sure justice is actually served.
Okay, so what's in this toolkit we keep talking about? Well, there are 5 of them. 5 distinct writs, each one for a different kind of problem. We've got habeas corpus, mandamus, quo warranto, prohibition, and certiorari. Let's break them down, one by one. First up, we're starting with the big one, the most fundamental of them all. This is often called the Great Writ of Liberty, and it's your ultimate protection when it comes to personal freedom. The name, habeas corpus, is Latin, and it literally means you may have the body. How direct is that? It's the court telling whoever has detained someone, bring that person to me, right now. They have to physically produce the person in court.
So the whole point is to challenge an unlawful detention, to force a court to look at the situation and decide, was this arrest legal or not? But here's the really cool part, the thing that makes it so unique. It's the only writ you can use against both public authorities, like the police, and private individuals. So it doesn't matter if you're being held by the state or by some private person against your will. Habeas corpus is that big red emergency button you push for freedom.
Okay, so habeas corpus is all about protecting your personal freedom. The next two we're going to talk about, they're all about accountability. They're the tools that make sure public officials and government bodies are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. First up is mandamus. It's Latin for we command. And honestly, the best way to think about it is the court looking at a public official and saying, do your job. That's it. It's an order that forces them to do a legal duty that they've been ignoring or just plain refuse to do.
Let's say, for example, your local government is legally required to fix a dangerously broken road, but they just aren't. Mandamus is the writ you would use to make them act. Now, of course, there are some limits. You can't use it against private individuals, and it can't be issued against the president or state governors. All right, next up we have quo warranto. This one translates to by what authority or warrant. It's a writ that allows the court to point at someone in a public office and ask a very direct question. By what right are you sitting in that chair? Its entire purpose is to prevent someone from illegally holding a public office. So if a job requires, say, a specific qualification, but the person who got the job doesn't actually have it, this writ can be used to challenge their appointment. It's all about ensuring transparency and making sure the right people are in the right jobs, legally. Okay, so the last 2 writs are a really interesting pair. They're different from the others because they're not about individual freedom or public officials directly. Instead, they're about the courts themselves. They're how higher courts keep lower courts in check. And the key to understanding them is timing. It's all about timing. Prohibition is preventative. Think of it as a stop button. It's issued to a lower court to stop it from hearing a case it has no business hearing. Certiorari, on the other hand, is curative. It's the undo button. It's issued after a lower court has already made a decision illegally, and it's used to quash or cancel that decision. So one prevents, the other cures. One stops, the other corrects. Just like its name says, prohibition means to forbid. It's a higher court basically telling a lower court, nope, stop right there. You've gone too far. You don't have the authority for this. And certiorari? Well, that means to be certified or to be informed. This makes sense because it's about the higher court calling up the records from the lower court, reviewing everything, and if they find a major error, they certify that the decision was wrong and just quash it. All right, so those are the 5 big tools in the Citizens Constitutional Toolkit. Now, let's just take a step back and look at the big picture. Why does all of this matter so much? Why is this whole system just so critical?
First off, who can issue these things? Well, both the Supreme Court and the high courts. But, and this is interesting, their powers aren't identical. A high court's power to issue writs is actually wider than the Supreme Court's. See, the Supreme Court can only issue them for fundamental rights. A high court can issue them for fundamental rights and any other legal right. But, and this is the game changer, going to the Supreme Court under Article 32 is a fundamental right in itself. What does that mean? It means they have to hear you. It's a guaranteed hotline straight to the top.
So when you boil it all down, what's the takeaway? It's this. These writs are what give our fundamental rights teeth. They turn them from nice ideas on a piece of paper into real, enforceable powers. They uphold the rule of law, they keep power in check, and most importantly, they give every single citizen a direct, fast, and powerful way to fight back against injustice. They really are the guardians of our rights.
And remember, these incredible powers, they're not just for lawyers. They're not just for activists. They belong to you, to every citizen. The Constitution literally hands you this toolkit. So the big question we're left with is this: how do we make sure that every single person in this country knows that they have these superpowers in their back pocket?